listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Narrative Podcast. The Narrative Podcast is the home of original people peace, original people reciprocity, original people positivity. Narrative Podcast promotes positive reinforcement of original people and original people culture. The Narrative Podcast provides positive frames of reference about original people and original people culture. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast. I am your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome all my narrators. Got a pretty nice show for you this evening. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast Weekend Edition, or as I call it, my full episode of the Narrative Podcast. Welcome to the platform. So, the mission statement of the Narrative Podcast is to provide positive frames of reference about original people and original people culture. That's what the entire podcast is all about. Typically, how I start things off before diving into the content, I plug and promote all my projects that I would like you, the listening audience, to support. And then I walk you through a brief overview of the Narrative Podcast to better familiarize you with the platform. So just to provide you with more context of what it is I'm doing on this platform and what I'm trying to accomplish in this space. But I'm going to deviate from that this evening. This is pretty late upload, so in order to meet my upload deadline, I try not to exceed 1 hour per broadcast. So it's pretty late in the evening, so I want to keep it fairly brief and to the point, and my overview could, usually is like about 10 to 10 minutes is in its entirety, trying to walk you through the Narrative Podcast and bring you up to speed about all the nuances of the Narrative Podcast. So I'm not going to do that this evening because I just did an upload yesterday, Friday. I tried not to overlap the days, but the days got overlapped. Had a lot going on. There was a lot of people in our community, and just stuff in the news. So it's been pretty draining. So the days overlap. I try not to do a weekday episode before a weekend episode. But I did. So tonight I'm just going to omit the overview of the Narrative Podcast and pretty much dive on into the content. What I will do, what I do believe I have time for, is to promote all my projects. And then once I promote all my projects, we're going to dive on into this episode of the Narrative Podcast. So, first and foremost, I would like to promote the podcast itself in its entirety, the Narrative Podcast. The way you can support the platform is to follow me on YouTube. Or Twitter. X, formerly Twitter, but I just say Twitter. Everybody says Twitter. I don't know what the X is about. You know, I don't know what the guy was thinking about when he changed it to X. I guess he just did it for branding purposes. But legitimately, everybody still says Twitter, and they still say tweet for, like, you know, all the things they do on Twitter. They still say, you know, whatever they write about on Twitter is still considered a tweet. So I don't know. Nobody says X. I mean, it's just like in the dashboard, and I don't know. I guess it's just for branding purposes. But anyway, the way you support the Narrator Podcast is to follow me on YouTube and X. And you want to follow me on those two platforms because this platform that I'm on broadcasts automatically to YouTube and X. They upload episodes of the Narrator Podcast to YouTube and Twitter immediately after I'm done recording. So as soon as I'm done recording, it automatically uploads to YouTube or X, regardless if I've edited the episode or not. And I don't edit my episodes. So yeah. So you want to follow me on YouTube or Twitter because, as I said, this platform I'm on automatically uploads to YouTube and Twitter the exact moment that I'm finished recording. So here's how you support me when you're following me on YouTube. You want to subscribe to my YouTube page, which is Halzie Allen, Hallzie Allen, Allen, on YouTube. Click the subscribe button, then click the notification button, and then click notification all. And then what you want to do is to, after you've subscribed to the channel, you want to like the latest episode of the Narrator Podcast, which is, you know, if you know anything about YouTube, it's the thumbs up icon. You want to click on the thumbs up icon, the like button on YouTube, and then you want to leave me a comment on the latest episode of the Narrator Podcast on my YouTube page. And then you want to share the most recent episode of the Narrator Podcast across all platforms, whatever platform you occupy. So got that on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube page. Click the like button, which is the thumbs up. Leave me a comment in the comment box on YouTube. And then click the share button and share the latest episode of the Narrator Podcast to whatever content or platform that you like to share items to. So that's how you support the Narrator Podcast when following me on YouTube. And this is how you support the Narrator Podcast when following me on Twitter. So you want to go to my Twitter page, which is I Stay Good at Halzie Allen. I, lowercase I, Stay Good at Halzie Allen. And it's all lowercase, no spaces. And then, you know you're at my page when you see a copy of my book pinned to the top of my page. And the copy of my book pinned at the top of my page says The Black Card. That's a book of poetry that I wrote. And I promote that after I'm done promoting the Narrator Podcast. So now that you know that you're on my page, what you want to do next is to click on the link of the latest episode of the Narrator Podcast. Then, once the link expands, and you will know when the link expands because you will see my banner, which is the Narrator Podcast. It just says the Narrator Podcast on it, and then underneath it, it has a picture of a microphone. So that's how you know the episode has expanded. And so once the episode has expanded, you want to go up top, on the top of the banner, and click the heart icon. It's a heart-shaped icon. It has a number 1 on it, and then for some odd reason a line underneath it. So you want to click on that. You want to click on the heart after the episode has expanded. And then once you click on the heart, the episode will expand again. And then once it has expanded a second time, you want to click on that same heart icon, which is the like button for the Narrator Podcast. You click on that. And then next to that icon is the comment box. And you want to leave me a comment in the comment box. Next to the comment box is a clock icon. You want to ignore that. Don't even worry about it. I don't know why it's there. I don't know what it symbolizes. I don't know. It's just there. But next to the clock icon is the most important feature. The most important way you can support the platform is the download button. The download button icon is in the shape of a cloud, and it has an arrow pointing down. So you want to click the download button to fully download the latest episode of the Narrator Podcast. So click the download button. It'll take all but I would say not even 30 whole seconds, maybe 26, 27 seconds, maybe even less than that, depending on what type of phone you get, what type of phone you have. And then once the episode is downloaded, then share it. Click the share button and share the latest episode of the Narrator Podcast to whatever platform that you like sharing things. And then if you're on Twitter, of course, also retweet episodes of the Narrator Podcast every time you see the Narrator Podcast in your feed. Retweet the latest episode of the Narrator Podcast. All that helps with the algorithm, but the most important thing is the download button. So download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator Podcast, wherever you get your podcast source from. And that's how you support the Narrator Podcast when following me on Twitter. All right. Next thing I would like to support, or next thing I would like to promote, and I would like you to support, is my book of poetry. I wrote a book of poetry titled The Black Card. And The Black Card, what it's about is basically a retrospective look at our people, black people, original people. Pretty much a day in the life of black people, everything we experience as black people, everything we go through as black people, both positive and negative, all the nuances of our culture is chronicled in the Black Card. It's a retrospective piece. So you will definitely enjoy it. If you're an original man or original woman, you can automatically, once you read one poem, you will automatically feel connected to the book. It's just basic observations about things that happen within our culture. You can either relate to a portion of one of the poems or a poem in its entirety. If you're an original man or an original woman, this poetry will resonate with you and speak directly to you, to whatever you're going through, how you're living your life. Just, it's just subtle. It's just a subtle nod to, everything that makes us us. But if you are not an original man or an original woman, you don't have to feel left out. You can still purchase the Black Card. If you consider yourself open-minded and like learning about different cultures, the Black Card is for you. It'll help you better relate to black people in your life. Of course, upon reading the Black Card, you will never fully understand what it means to be black or what we're going through. Just as surely as if somebody was to write, a book about your culture, they would just never fully understand. But it will help you be more informed, and it will broaden your horizons. So yeah, that's how, the Black Card will make a good read for you if you are not an original man or an original woman. You can use it as a learning tool. If you have children, you can educate your children with it. Or like I said, read it for your own leisure to broaden your horizons about our people. Now, the Black Card is only currently available on one medium, and that's poetizer.com. And to purchase the Black Card, what you want to do is head over to poetizer.com and visit their online bookstore. And once you've arrived at the online bookstore, look for my title, The Black Card, written by me, Halsey Allen. So head on over to poetizer.com. Visit their virtual online bookstore and purchase the Black Card, or get your Black Card revoked. And then last but not least, I would like to promote my personal poetry blog on blogger.com titled Halsey's Poetry Corner. And what that is basically a site where I post my innermost works of poetry. The poems featured on Halsey's Poetry Corner are very diverse, and they're ranging from a wide array of topics. Also a wide array of emotions. So, whatever you're experiencing or have experienced in life, you're guaranteed to find a poem on Halsey's Poetry Corner that captures and commemorates said event in life or said emotion. So pretty much that's the very unique thing about the poems featured on Halsey's Poetry Corner blog is, they're just diverse and relatable. and it appeals to, you know, everybody. Anybody from any walk of life can read it and appreciate it. So, you know, no matter what ethnic background you're from, no matter what community you're from, what you identify yourself as, you can visit that blog site and, you know, find a piece of yourself in one of those poems. Find, you know, that they're that relatable. As a matter of fact, the tagline for my poetry blog is Hallzies Poetry Corner, poetry with a passion, poetry for all occasions. And when you read one of my poems featured on that blog site, you will see that it measures up to that tagline. I legit have a poem for nearly every occasion in life. I have a poem for every emotional occasion you may be currently experiencing or have experienced in the past. Now, I do have a few poems on there just that are specifically for my community, original people community, black community. But for the most part, you know, it's for everybody. Anybody can read one of those poems and relate to them. And another unique thing about the poems featured on that blog is I spontaneously wrote all of them. I didn't contemplate on the subject matter. I didn't contemplate on what I was going to title each piece. You know, the poems, the pieces legitimately wrote themselves. You know, the universe just used me as a conduit to manifest it into the universe. Like, you know, it's just like I wasn't even in control. It was just like, that's how sporadic and random each one of those poems came to me. But, you know, they're just so specific and intricate and detailed, you would think that I followed all the, you know, stages of writing, the drafting, the editing, but I didn't do any of that. I just legitimately wrote them, posted them, you know, didn't have an inkling or a thought behind it. You know, whatever the poem was posted on there, whatever the poem was about, I guarantee you that was the furthest thing from my mind when the poem got posted to that blog site. I was not thinking about whatever the topic was at all. But go check them out on blogger.com, and the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner is www.mrhallziesblogs.com. And the way you can support Hallzies Poetry Corner is visiting it on blogger.com at www.mrhallziesblogs.com, sharing the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner across all platforms. And then once you come on the site, you can also support by clicking the like icon. And the like icon is in the shape of a heart. So click the heart-shaped like button on Hallzies Poetry Corner. And then also comment on the poems featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner. I have a comment box on all the poems, and the comment box is usually located directly underneath each poem. So, you know, comment on that, and the best way to do that is to sign in with your Gmail account, if you have a Gmail account, to leave me a poem on Hallzies Poetry Corner. And then also, as I said, to share them across all media platforms, whatever platform that you like to share content to. You know, share either the link or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner. And then one disclaimer I want to make before you visit the site is that when you visit the site from your device, I think it does not say when you type in the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner. If you do it from a desktop, you're good, but if you do one on your device, it's going to say this connection is not secure. Your you know the deal. If you got an Android or a iPhone, they'll tell you if the connection is not secure, that your passwords are subject to whatever. But the blog site is a Google product. I highly doubt somebody's going to hack you. So you can ignore that warning, because when you type the link into your browser, which is www.mrhallziesblog.com, it's going to give you a warning message that connection is not secure. It's going to be red and have a triangle and say this connection is not secure, but it is. And don't worry about it, and just visit the link, share the link or poems featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner across all platforms, and that's how you can support Hallzies Poetry Corner. And then one last thing before diving into the content this evening, I just want to say to my visual content creators, if you have a visual platform, if you upload content from your visual platform such as YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, just shout out Hallzies Poetry Corner, and then shout out the Narrative Podcast. And that's how you can support both of those platforms if you are a visual content creator. Other than that, like, share, comment, and all that good stuff. Well, that's it, and that's all. That's all the projects that I have to promote this evening. And when I get on the completion stage of all my other projects, I will keep you notified thoroughly on how to support them. So now that I'm done with the promotional section, I'm going to dive right on into the content this evening on the weekend edition of the Narrative Podcast. So one thing you should know is, this is a time-sensitive platform. I try not to exceed 1 hour per broadcast. That's why I'm kind of foregoing my synopsis of the Narrative Podcast, because this is like virtually late. So I'm trying to get an upload at a reasonable time. So lately on the weekends, I've been like starting around this time and then not finishing until like almost midnight. So we're not doing that this evening. We're going to have this episode uploaded at a reasonable time. So that's why I'm just getting straight to the content. But about my content, what I typically do is I divide it into sections, and I have speaking points for each section, and I also time each section. So that'll prevent me from just rambling and ranting, and it'll just make the content more digestible, easier to listen to, easier to follow. I'm not all over the place. I'm streamlined, I'm focused, and I'm making good transitional points, segueing into the next point very clearly, and I'm not just all willy-nilly all over the place, because what I want you to do is to really digest the content. I really want you to retain the information that I'm sharing, and I can't do that if I'm boring you to sleep. So I'm trying to keep you attentive with my content, keep you informed and also entertain you as well, because I am a podcaster and it's a form of entertainment. So basically, I wanted to deliver the message. I don't want to beat you upside the head with the message. So now that you pretty much get the gist of it, I'm going to dive into the content. So this is a weekend edition of the Narrator Podcast. Now I have two different format styles. I have a weekday format style and I have a weekend format style. So typically during the weekday, I have it split into two sections, and the focal point during the weekday, or the focal point of the Narrator Podcast, is to provide positive frames of reference about original people and original people culture. So during the weekday, my focal point or my positive frame of reference that I'm sharing with the listening audience during the weekday, the positive frame of reference that I use is positive news articles. Now, since this is a weekend episode of the Narrative Podcast, the focal point that I'm sharing, or the positive frame of reference that I'm sharing about our people and our culture, is business ownership. And the reason I feel I need to share a positive frame of reference about business ownership is because we have so very few frames of reference about business ownership. The very few frames of reference that we have about business ownership, unfortunately, come to us via scripted reality television shows. So on these scripted reality television shows, how they typically depict our people's images and our likenesses on these scripted reality television shows is from a perspective of degeneracy, a perspective of ignorance, a perspective of violence. So basically, they give the worst possible representation of our people as they possibly can on these scripted reality television shows. The whole time, usually the people on these scripted reality television shows representing our people are, very wealthy, very affluent. They give back to their community. They employ a lot of people from their community. They're very business savvy. They have several, companies underneath their umbrella, underneath their brand umbrella, as whatever they are. If they're an entertainer, if they're an actor or actress or a recording artist, because those are usually the people that they select to be on these scripted reality television shows. But like I said, they're also like people that own businesses and provide opportunities for their people. But all they want to show the rest of the world on these scripted reality television shows is them acting a fool, being buffoonish, behaving violently, behaving amorally, engaging in lewd, deplorable acts, overindulging in alcohol and drugs on camera, fornicating on camera. That's what they want to capture. And, they want to capture us in rare form and present us to the world like that. Like, we're all like that. We're all uncivilized. We all are savage, we're all ignorant, you know. We're all these negative stereotypes and stigmas that they perpetuate about us. So that's why I'm doing this section, is just to kind of counter those negative stereotypes and stigmas about our people. I'm just giving you the highlights of an entrepreneur's journey, the things you don't typically see on these scripted reality television shows. I'm trying to walk you through their track of becoming a business owner, you know, what they had to go through and endure, what type of you know, background they're coming from, where they grew up at, what school they went to, if they, you know, used their education to start a business, how they became interested in whatever business that they started. Resources. I'm just walking you through, you know, business owners' journey into becoming a business owner. I try to give as much specific details as possible, like the, you know, the dates that they established their business, the email address, the you know, the physical address, if they have a physical address for it, contact information, and, you know, I'm trying to just give you all the nuggets about their business, all the nuggets about them as a business owner, about them as a person, you know, how their upbringing, where they grew up at, where they went to school, how they grew up, you know. And then this is how I select the businesses that I highlight in the highlight section. First and foremost, they're original people, so they're black. The business is black owned. They hire their own. They do some type of community outreach. They either have their own nonprofit organization, or they pay into their own, or they pay into a nonprofit organization. And in many cases, many of the businesses I highlight in the highlight section are family owned and operated. So in that instance, I would be giving you a positive frame of reference about generational wealth as well. And then my last qualifying factor about the businesses that I select to highlight in the highlight section of the Narrator Podcast is that they align up with my theme, and my ongoing theme are nationally recognized holidays for today's dates. So now that you know what the highlight section is all about, I'm going to dive on into the first business in the highlight section. So like I said, they align up with my theme, and the nationally recognized holiday today is seed gathering season. So seed gathering season started on September 22nd, and it goes through this entire month of October, nearly this entire month. It goes through October 22nd. So that's what today I'll be focusing on. Black-owned businesses, or original people owned and operated businesses, because on here, the Narrative Podcast, I refer to our people, black people, as original people. I know you heard me say it over and over, But like I said, I don't have enough time to walk you through the complete overview of the Narrative Podcast this evening, but I do a deep delve into why I refer to our people as original people instead of calling us black. But I did an episode on Friday. Today's Saturday, so all you have to do to bring yourself up to speed about, why I do that is to listen to my previously recorded episode. And you will know why I call our people original people. But anyway, to commemorate the national recognized holiday for today's date, I will be highlighting businesses that specialize in selling seeds. And my first business that I highlight today, this evening, in the highlight section of the Narrative Podcast, is a business by the name of Cocoa and Seed. And to find more about Cocoa and Seed, visit them at cocoandseed.com. Cocoa and Seed was established in 2013 by a woman simply by the name of Tashana. The website did not say her last name, so maybe it's like Prince. With Prince, he just changed his name to a pronounceable symbol. I don't know. But on the website, she didn't put her last name, and there's nothing on the internet that tells us her last name. She doesn't have a LinkedIn page or nothing like that. She promotes the business on Facebook. Facebook and Instagram, and it's Cocoa Seed. And none of those mediums tell her last name either. But anyway, so her story is she came up with the idea of her business, Cocoa and Seed, which is basically she provides indoor plant starter kits so you can grow plants inside. And I am going to go on a bit of a tangent right now because we're living in the era where you literally need to be controlling your own food source. So like if you don't own a home, you should be buying indoor plants, edible indoor plants, and controlling as much as your own food supply as you possibly can. You just simply cannot trust the grocery store. I know we all go to the grocery store, but if you're living in the United States of America, everything in the grocery store is poison. Even the produce, they're sprayed in pesticides. So when you're going to the grocery store, to the produce aisle, some grocery stores, you will see that that Mr. machine spraying liquid on the produce. You think it's just harmless water. No, it's laced with chemicals. It's laced with pesticides. They lace it with pesticides so the fresh produce, won't attract gnats and flies in the store. So they douse them in pesticides. So produce at the store is poison, even if it's organic. And so even if the produce is organic, it's still very much poison. Vegan products as well, so-called vegan and plant-based products, poison. Any processed food. So like I said, we should be trying to grow our own foods if we can. So like, even if you don't have an outdoors, a yard, if you're, living in an apartment complex or a condominium, or, just not owning your own property, don't let that stop you. You can, at the very least, have an herb garden. Herbs are very easy to grow. You can grow you some oregano. You can grow you some basil. You can grow some cilantro. Like, all those herbs I just named are superfoods. They're antibacterial, antimicrobial, antifungal. That destroy pretty much all airborne pathogens and parasites and anything that's not supposed to be in your body. Those herbs will destroy them. And not to mention, they're good for your gut health as well. But anyway, the point I was trying to make is, like, you should be trying to take advantage to grow your own food in the times that we're living in. And her company is kind of a nod to that, growing indoor plants. Even just like regular hanging plants and flowers, those are also good too. You should, if you can. Those will enhance your mood, and they'll also keep your air breathable and clean. Keep it keep your air from harmful bacteria, like, whatever's coming through your vent, because you don't know what's coming through your central air unit, coming through your heating ducts, what type of gases and dust mites and parasites and pathogens that you're breathing. But if you have indoor plants, they'll eradicate all that carbon dioxide and all those other harmful contaminants and irritants, festering in your indoor dwelling. There's chemicals in the paint on your walls. There's chemicals in the fibers of your carpet if you have carpeted floors. But anyway, Tashana, she became interested in agriculture, or she's also always been fascinated with plant life. She liked looking at plants. She liked flowers, but she was terrible at growing things. Every time she would buy a house plant, it would just die. Without fail, she didn't know what she was doing wrong. So she educated herself on how to grow plants. She started a project in 2013, and she honed her craft all the way up into 2018, 2019, and then she decided to start making her own indoor plant kits. By 20, her plants have been featured on Oprah Winfrey and Today. I think that's featured. I think it's either CBS or NBC Today. Let me see. Yeah, Today is NBC. So yeah, she has become famous with her crafts, and once again, you can visit her site at coconseed.com. She also advertises on Facebook and Instagram. So follow her on Facebook and Instagram, Coco and Seed, and you will see all the latest uploads of, everything she has about her company. So once you visit her site, you will see everything she has available. She has plant kits, mason jar included, terrariums. She also has recipes for herb gardens. She has herb gardens. So how to turn your herbs into, food, like cooking food, recipes for your basil and your cilantro and your pesto and all, rosemary and thyme. And then she also has a blog featuring a whole lot of DIY projects. She also has her own podcast series. So to view all what she has going on, visit her at cocoandseed.com. And that's it, and that's all. Join me into giving this sister a warm narrative podcast round of applause for Coco and Seed. And once again, her name is just Tishana. Tishana what? I don't know. It's not on her website. It's nowhere on Google. But, nevertheless, this original owned and operated, and it commemorates the nationally recognized holiday today, or the nationally recognized day, which is seed gathering season. And the next business I'd like to highlight on the highlight section of the Narrative Podcast is a business called Melanated Organic Seeds. This business was established in 2018. This person actually has the last name, by a sister by the name of Divana Stevenson. And to find out more about her product, visit melanatedorganics.com. And her backstory is as followed. She took up gardening as a form of trauma therapy. She was suffering from anxiety, depression. So while, as she got better at her hobby, her garden was located in a food desert. There was no, fresh food readily available. She was just surrounded by, convenience stores and fast food places, which is, slow death. So what she wanted to do was dedicate her craft to educating and enlightening people about the health benefits of, a plant-based organic diet. And that's how her company, was born. It doesn't say really too much about her life story, like where she went to school, how she grew up. I really tried to be super thorough and give you a full scope of the business owner, walk you through their journey as an entrepreneur, but sometimes that information is just not readily available. And, this evening is one of those times. All these businesses that I'm going to be highlighting this evening are super short. Were super short. That was my last one. I usually do 3 to 4, but I noticed something else is because, I review all my episodes, and I think I did do farms one year. I think I did farms last year. So a whole lot of, companies that I wanted to cover this evening, I had already covered in the past. So I didn't want to be redundant. So I tried to keep this, content as fresh as possible and try not to recycle old content. So I go through my episodes. But anyway, I only had 2 businesses to highlight this evening in the highlight section. That was the last one. So in addition to the website, you can also call her at 623-395-3521 for general inquiries about her garden supply business. You can also contact her for inquiries at info@Melanated Organics as well. And then when you get to the page, you're going to see a full list of her services, the types of seeds she has, types of flowers she has. She also has fruits. She also has herbs. And also she has teas and sea moss and vitamins. And she also has spices, merch, clothing, cards, greeting cards. So she got a one-stop shop on that website. Go check her out today. At melanatedorganics.com. And join me into giving our sister a warm narrative podcast round of applause for her business, melanatedorganicseeds.com. Let's congratulate Devonna Stevenson. All right, now I'm on to my next section here on the Narrative Podcast Weekend Edition. This section is called the Spotlight section. And what this section is about is congratulating a person within our community that impacts our community in a positive way from, the work that they're doing for our community. So people that are advocating, that are using their social media platforms in a positive way to, empower us, to educate us, or just basically to make us look good by the way they carry and conduct themselves. That's what this section is all about. The main focal point of the Spotlight section is to, focus on positive reinforcement, because we don't use positive reinforcement as much as we should within our community. We've actually been programmed and conditioned to, unfortunately, talk bad about each other online, to disagree with each other, and to, exhibit and display visceral towards one another, taking jabs, calling each other names, airing out our dirty laundry, and don't get me wrong, we're not the only people that do it. Other people do it too, but for some odd reason, when we disagree with each other online, it's highly publicized. And all these faceless Fortune 500 companies are making literally billions of dollars to, have us at odds with one another online. So, unfortunately, that's just, that's just the way it is. The powers that shouldn't be have incentivized our community to engage in negative behavior online. They also have us brainwashed and conditioned into believing the only way you can make money online is to, engage in lowbrow activity, to, engage in gossip and slander and harboring resentment towards your brother and your sister. So they have us believing that we can't congratulate somebody and celebrate somebody's achievements and accomplishments, that we just have to, be mean towards one another and rude, that we can't just enjoy each other, celebrate each other's achievements and be there for each other in times of need, use our platforms to network and to, unify and work out our problems and differences. That's how they want to manipulate us. But, like I said, this platform is all about providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. And in this section, the positive frame of reference about our people and our culture is positive reinforcement, just paying each other compliments and congratulating congratulating ourselves for, doing well in the community and being an example of change, being an example of leadership, being an example of advocacy, or, just basically doing the work. So, in the past, when I first started this section, I just used to focus on spotlighting, entertainers, like people in the entertainment industry, actors, actresses, philanthropists, or not actors and actresses engaging in philanthropy, but like, recording artists, athletes, comedians, just anybody involved either in sports or entertainment, and social media influencers and, stuff like that. But as of late, I've really been trying to focus on just regular people. And the reason why is because I don't want to enforce the negative stereotype about our people not knowing how to do anything other than entertain. So, I've been doing a lot of that lately, just trying to find regular people doing extraordinary things for our community, to impact our community in a positive way. And, not for nothing, I started the way for spotlighting. Me, Halsey Allen, little bitty old me, started the way for spotlighting. Because before I added a spotlight section to my podcast, nobody was spotlighting anybody. Now every time you watch somebody's podcast, you watch somebody on YouTube, even like corporations, when they're promoting products, they be like, today we'll be spotlighting the S300 series, blah, blah, blah. But, pretty much I've coined the phrase spotlighting. It's become a buzz phrase now. And the intended purpose of spotlighting, the way I created it, was just basically to, put out the positive frame of reference, to, just put it out there in the atmosphere to be nice on social media towards one another. We don't all gotta like each other. We don't all gotta be like, the best of friends or beer drinking buddies. But we don't have to dedicate our media presence to nastiness and meanness towards one another. We don't gotta entertain that. So like in this world, you're going to have people that rub you the wrong way. Like, let's be clear, we want to have people you just generally don't like. And that's just real. And that's all walks of life, all types of people, all cultures, all races. You can't be everybody's cup of tea. You can't. There's just always somebody that's not going to like you for whatever reason. But within our community, unfortunately, when we don't like somebody, we go all the way in on them. We drag people into it that don't have nothing to do with the reason why we don't like that person. But what I said all that to say, we don't have to like each other, but let's at least respect each other. Let's learn to civilly, agree to disagree in a civil adult manner. Like, okay, you don't like me, fine. I'm over here, I'm doing this. I work my side of the street, you work your side of the street. It is what it is, oh well. I'm not going to come on your page roasting you or criticizing you for living your life. Don't come over on my, page criticizing me and roasting me for living my life. Basically keep your mouth to yourself. Keep your little comments to yourself. But anyway, like I said, I created the wave for spotlighting because before I added the spotlight section to my podcast, the Narrator podcast, nobody was spotlighting anybody. Now everybody has, incorporated the term spotlighting into their vocabulary, into their content. So that kind of makes me feel good about myself because that proves that I'm, sending shockwaves with my content. That proves people are listening to me. The internet makes the world small. I'm just a normal guy doing this little podcast, but I'm influencing and impacting so many people with my content. And a whole lot of really famous people listen to my platform, regardless of the views, regardless of the interview, what the algorithm, or what the page is telling me my view status is, or whatever other stats you look at to tell you you're now viral. I know because they incorporate my content into their content. Not just the things I say, but the way I say it. They incorporate my content into their speech pattern. That's how I know they're listening on a regular basis to this podcast. They're just giving me a quiet little wink wink. They be popping up in my feed. I be popping up in their feed. So I know they're listening. But anyway, like I said, imitation is the best form of flattery. My message is to promote positivity within our community and promote upliftment and edification of our people and our culture using this platform. So I don't mind if, people want to jack my style or, showing my age, bite. If they want to bite off my content, that's just a form of flattery to me. But anyway, I just had to put that in the universe, just let you know that I'm causing ripple effects out here. And, this platform is all about positivity. So if I'm creating the wave for people finally, saying enough's enough, I'm not going to play the game no more. You're not going to get me in the trick bag to take cheap shots at my brother and sister. Like, then so be it. Because, enough is enough. What do we get out of that? Now, I'm all for standing on truth and to call out all things foul, but at the same time, what I'm not into is just nitpicking and, being overtly mean and overtly a bully for no reason. Because if you got that much, visceral towards somebody, if you don't like them that much, then get at them. Call their number, DM them, get it off your chest, and whatever. But don't just dedicate your platform into dragging them all up and down every time you get a chance. Yeah. But anyway, shout out to everybody that loves using the phrase that I coined, spotlighting. Because nobody was spotlighting anybody before I started the spotlight section here on the Narrator Podcast.
You are now listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
In a real way. All right, so without any further ado, I'm going to I'll let you just dangle in the dark long enough. Today, this week, on the Spotlight section of the Narrative Podcast, the spotlight goes to a sister by the name of Nicole Bradford. Nicole Bradford is a motivational speaker, author, TED Talk, CEO, executive director, just so many hats, so many titles. But, the thing that she's mostly known for is her commitment and devotion into making sure our people not get left behind in, the technological revolution, the digital revolution. She is leading the charge in STEM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. She's doing stuff like robotics, creating all kinds of software and hardware, just all kind of technological advancements, to instruct and teach our people the essential skills they need to, be in the digital space. So she's pretty much bringing us into the future, keeping us out of the dark ages, um, showing us the technological world of computers and, just all things digital. You name one digital thing, whatever software package, bundle, she has a certification in it. Name some programs, she probably wrote them. Name a program in the last 10 years, she has probably either wrote it herself or, been on the team that wrote it. Yeah, she's really using her platforms to launch us into the future. She highly focuses on AI, all things AI. She's an expert about that. If you want to know more about what she's into, what projects she's working on, and all her achievements and degrees and doctorates she has, you can visit her at her website, NicoleBradford.com. And like I said, also in the spotlight section, I try to give you a diverse look at the person that I'm spotlighting. I try to, usually tell you what town they grew up, what city, what town they grew up, what school they went to, their educational background, and, just like some personal details about them. But like, if they're not available, then I can't do it. But other than that, this sister, like, she is multi-talented, multifaceted in the world of technology. Even before she, committed fully to technology, she was working in the Hollywood. She was working on, like, in the movies, doing animatronics and stuff like that. She has an MBA from Warthorne School of Business and Strategies, a BBA in Marketing from the University of Houston, and is a graduate of Singularity University's Graduate Students Program in 2015. She's a fellow of the British American Project, currently serves on the board of the Project 375 Brandon Marshall Foundation for Mental Health, so she's a mental health advocate too. Whole lot of nonprofit organizations that she's founded or is, sitting on the board for nonprofit organizations. So like I said, she's just a Renaissance woman for all seasons as far as like technology goes. Her main thing that she focuses on in the world of technology is AI. So she's using her knowledge of technology to bring our people into the future and assure that we don't get left behind in this technological, renaissance that we're living in. Because unless you plan on living off the grid, and that's not crazy to not want to, there are so many people living off the grid that are happy. They don't own a cell phone, they don't watch TV, they don't have any like hindrances of, the technological world. It is possible. We all did it, like, what was you doing before cell phones? Like, how was we living? What was life like before, cell phones? What was life like before we had, cable, before we had DVD, before we had laser players, before we had, VCRs and Betamax, What was we doing? What was we doing before cable television? What was we doing before radio? So it's not impossible to live without technology, but pretty much if you're living anywhere in the world right now, you need to be technologically astute. You need to at least be digitally literate. Because if you're living in in the era that we're living in now, if you're digitally illiterate, you're illiterate. Like that equates to you not being able to read at all. If you can't, operate a desktop efficiently, if you can't operate your phone efficiently, if you're all thumbs with an iPhone, you're all thumbs with an Android, you're getting left behind is what I'm saying. Like you have to be some type of technologically savvy to navigate in the world we're living in. But anyway, like I said, the sister is just talented in so many different areas. She has over a dozen nonprofit organizations that she advocates for. So, for that's the reason why she got the spotlight this week. And then one more thing you should know about the spotlight section is I alternate genders. So 1 week I'll spotlight a male, and then 1 week I'll spotlight a female, just to keep, the playing field level. Everybody gets a fair turn within our community. No gender wars over here. We need each other. We're in it to win it. But anyway, join me into giving our sister Nicole Bradford a warm narrative podcast round of applause for all her accomplishments in leading the charge in technology. All right, on to my next section. This section is called the health and wellness section. The title is pretty much self-explanatory. I'm going to be speaking about health and wellness tips. The reason I feel I need to speak about health and wellness is because our people we are sick as a people. Like we are very unhealthy. And it's not entirely our faults. It's because, we're being attacked. We're trying to be eradicated. They're trying to remove us from the world. They really do not like our people. Yes, there is a them, and they don't like us. What Kendra said, they not like us. Well, they don't like us, and they're trying to get rid of us by any means possible. They're attacking us mentally, physically, and spiritually. So, physically they're attacking us. They're lacing our air, lacing our food, and other products that we use on a daily basis, like cleaning products in your house, cosmetics, grooming products like soap, soap to wash your body, soap for cleaning your dishes, your laundry, harmful chemicals that destroy our unique composition, that deteriorate and destroy our unique genetic makeup. It pinpoints and targets our cells, people with the Negroid gene. That's physically how they're attacking us. Mentally, they're weaponizing the media. They're programming and conditioning us to be desensitized towards violence. They're programming and conditioning us to normalize things that aren't normal. They're programmed and conditioning us to be violent towards one another with this content. They're putting all these subliminal messages in movies, television, like all forms of media, books, advertisements. And it's real subtle. They're using vibration and frequency and, subliminal visual patterns that you can't, that like if you blink you will miss it, but it's like encoded and embedded in like screensavers on your device, on the computer. They have isonic tones in songs, 808 frequency, programming us, putting subliminal messages in music, subliminal messages in visual content that we partake in. Corrupting and destroying our process of thought, corroding our minds. And then they're spiritually attacking us. Yes, spiritually. There's some deep demonic energy and aura surrounding most businesses, most entities that try to harm us, like the police, like branches of our military, like certain businesses, like the post office, like hospitals. These are all places where people that don't look like us are trying to harm us. So the health and wellness section here on the Narrative Podcast, what this is dedicated towards is I'm giving you health tips to fortify yourselves, or fortify ourselves, original people, black people, in all the areas that we're being attacked. And no, it's not a conspiracy theory, it's a reality. Like even Stevie Wonder can see what's going on in the world as it pertains to our people. So, quick disclaimer. Now the Narrative Podcast content is pretty much for anybody to listen to, whatever walk of life you come from, whatever you call yourself, whatever you identify as, you're more than welcome to listen to this platform if you have an open mind. But just be forewarned, my target demographic is my people, original people, or black people. I refer to our people as original people on this platform, but if you want to call yourself black or Negro or African American, or call yourself by your nationality, that's all good. But on this platform I try to refer to our people as original people. But anyway, it's just like with this said all that to say, this platform focuses on our people, the needs of our people, the plight of our people, which further goes on to say you know, this is also a place of truth, and we got to stop that lie that we're all the same. That we're all this, we're all God's people, and we're all one blood, and we're all, the Creator loves us the same, and yeah, yes and no. Yes and no. It's a yes and no because, while we can love each other, while we can treat each other with dignity and respect, we're not the same. What hurts one group of people enhances another group of people. So like what is harmful to you is helpful to me. Example. Like, okay, if we're talking about our people, black and white people, like, we're different, clearly. We got cultural differences, viewpoints, whatever. But on the physical side of it, there are things within our diet that we need and will nourish us and, keep us healthy, active, and fit, where it would be harmful to somebody that didn't look like us trying to do the things we do. For example, if we're keeping it just black and white, like sunlight. Sunlight nourishes black people, original people. It improves our skin, our hair, our train of thought. It enhances, increases our mood. It magnifies our brain waves, our signals and all that. Makes us smarter the more we're exposed to it. Makes us physically healthier the more we're exposed to sunlight. The longer we're in sunlight, the healthier we become. It supercharges our cells, is what I'm saying. So like the more sunlight that we're exposed to, our people, black people, melanated people, the healthier we are. Whereas white people, the more sunlight they're exposed to, the worse their health will deteriorate. They'll peel, they'll flake, they'll develop skin cancer. So we're not all the same. If we're talking dietetically, melanated people, we're supposed to perform at peak optimal proficiency. We're supposed to consume a diet consisting mainly of plants. Whereas somebody from outside of our culture, they can eat meat until the cows come home. Pardon the pun. But like, you know what I'm saying? They could eat uncooked meat and thrive. Because some people do eat raw, like beef tartare, and now there's a trend in China where they eating raw chicken. Like chicken sushi, like. But if we partook in that will harm our, constitution, that would make us really sick. There are some cultures, they can eat a high starch diet, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they'll be just fine. Whereas our people, we consume a lot of starches, will develop gout, joint pain, and all kinds of internal blockages. Because we're not designed to consume that on a regular basis. And then if we're going to talk mentally, we all have different emotional triggers. We all are different. All have different trauma experiences. So we're not the same. So what triggers me, you would be like, oh, well, what's the problem? Why did that offend you? Why did this word offend you? You wouldn't understand because you're not of my culture. The same way I wouldn't understand because I'm not of your culture. So we're not all the same. So not that we are that kumbaya, we're all the same, we're all one. Yeah, we are all one, but only if we're of that culture. So like if this group of people, they can all relate to each other. Another group of people that look like the same, they can all relate to each other. That's just how life is. It's not nobody trying to, ostracize somebody. We're just all different. Now, we can celebrate and acknowledge each other's differences in a civil manner, but it's when we try to delude ourselves and pretend that we're all the same when we're really authentically not all the same, that's when we get into trouble. Because then we're lying to ourselves, then we're, living a fallacy. Then, we're setting ourselves up for destruction by trying to say we're all the same. That's all I want to just make you aware of, this kumbaya mentality. In this section, the health and wellness section, this focuses on the overall total health of original people. So just know that. Now, the types of tips I give, is just the tips that will, fortify our people, protect ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. So like, for example, a type of physical health tip I would give to sustain our health usually be the health benefits of, something edible, like a plant, herb, elixir, extract, root, fruit, vegetable that you can either ingest or apply topically to improve your physical health, or some type of physical exercise you can engage in to improve your physical health. On the mental side of it, some type of mental exercise that you can perform to keep yourself in good mental health. Such, for example, like maybe meditation, some type of therapy, some type of therapeutic exercise, mental exercise for you, that improve your cognitive skills, that improve your mood, things of that nature, like maybe meditation. And then on the spiritual side of it, types of examples I give, be, some type of spiritual practices you can incorporate to protect your spirits against forms of attack, how to acknowledge when you're being attacked spiritually, things of that nature. And then every once in a blue moon, I might throw in a wild card, like discuss, types of laws like quantum law, laws of consequences, esoteric type stuff, metaphysical type stuff every once in a blue moon. But today is the health tip is coming from the physical side of it. I'm going to be speaking to you about the health benefits of the guano melon or Cucumis proliferus, as the scientific name is. It's mostly indigenous to Africa, but it's also appears in Australia and in the Pacific Islands as well. And yes, Pacific, like, black people, we kind of stumble over that. Pacific is the island. Specific is something intricate or detailed. But I don't know. But anyway, so the horned melon aids in digestion. It hydrates you, so it provides maximum hydration. It's a good antioxidant. So the term antioxidant, basically antioxidant is a fat burner. Helps you burn belly fat. Also helps you feel full, so you will eat less. Regulates blood sugar, fortifies the immune system. Rich in vitamin E, so it's good for your hair, skin, nails, and teeth. Rich in vitamin C, which provides and strengthens collagen, so keeps your skin firm, tight, and retaining its youth, retaining a youthful appearance. Rich in magnesium. Magnesium aids in heart health, especially around the the veins connected to the heart. Helps deliver blood flow to the heart, and also makes hemoglobin molecules, so it aids in blood flow. It also delivers oxygen to the lungs and veins. Another benefit, from it being rich in magnesium, it improves mood. It aids in anxiety and depression. So if you're ever feeling depressed about anything, or you're super anxious, then that's probably for you. It's very refreshing. It's very bland, not gonna lie, it's bland. It's not as bland as the cucumbers we're accustomed to eating, the green ones. So they're very expensive in stores, so your best bet would be to go to a farmer's market to buy them for a cheaper price, because if you buy it in the store right now, it's going, for one horn watermelon, it's going to cost you probably like $2 to $3 per pound, maybe $4. So, one can end up costing you like $4 or $5 just for one horn melon. But like I said, the end justifies the mean, because they're chock full of so many good vitamins and nutrients and minerals and things that will sustain your physical well-being. So we throw away $200 and $300 at a sit-down restaurant with food that's poisonous to you, that it just widen your back. It tastes delicious, but it'll widen your back and shut down vital organs over a course of time. But this, that is like really, if the fountain of youth ever actually existed, this would be like some fruit blooming around the fountain of youth. This is like, will help you sustain your life for a long period of time. Help you with your full range of motion, maintain your full range of motion. Aids in gut health. So to keep you regular, having regular bowel movements. And that's kind of one of the biggest things as far as as that deteriorates our health, is because we don't have regular bowel movements. So every time you eat solid food, you're supposed to release solid food. So if you're eating and you don't go, if you eat one time, if you don't go within the course of a day, then you're just, that's some undigested food. So if you didn't go before the new day starts, so now you just got food on top of some food that wasn't undigested, then that leads to bloating, then that leads to inflammation, and that inflammation leads to other, ailments and illnesses within the body. But essentially, the horn melon is a superfood, chock full of health benefits. So if you can get your hands on one, get your hands on one, enjoy it, eat it as much as possible. Taste-wise, it is kind of lacking. You would be like doing yourself a disservice not to try to attempt to finish a whole one. They're super refreshing. Not as tart as a lemon. It does have a kind of bitter bite, but not as like tart. Not tart enough to make you pucker, be like, ooh, yuck. But it does have some tartness to it. It's for the most part bland. Mouthfeel, it feels like one of those tapioca in boba tea. If you ever drunk milk tea, that's kind of how it feels. It's like it got a super squishy mouthfeel. But it's an acquired taste when you get used to eating it. It's not so bad. But essentially it is something similar to, the inside of a cucumber, like the seeds around that area, just times 10. But if you can get yourself a horn melon, go get it and incorporate it into your diet today. And that'll do it for this week's health and wellness tip on the Narrative Podcast. My next section is my current event section. I refer to my current event section as my speaking point section. In this section, what I'm talking about is just current issues surrounding our people, whether it's, something that happened globally, something happened nationally, or something that happened, on the internet, or that's going viral. And what I'm doing is just, I'm talking about current events and I'm unpacking it from our perspective. And the reason why I do that is basically to control the narrative. Because if history hasn't taught us anything, it's taught us this: if you don't tell your own story will be told for you. So that's what I'm doing. I'm telling our story for us in the speaking point section. Every once in a blue moon, when I don't have any current events to talk about, I will do a PSA segment in place of that. Talk about something, observation I noticed about our people, an area that we can improve on as a people. And by we, I mean me as well. And in many cases, it's me especially. But, yeah. That's what I would do if I didn't have anything to talk about. I do actually have a topic to talk about this evening. It's kind of half and half. It's kind of a PSA. It's kind of a actual news thing that actually is happening. I've seen snippets of it, online and in the news. Something amazing is happening right now. Original women are defending original men politically. Yep, there is resurgence in our community. Original women are defecting from the Democratic Party. Now, I've stated my own personal opinions in regards to politics many, many times on my platform. I'm not for any party. I'm not for the Republicans or the Democratic or the voting process itself in general. All that is a facade. All that's, it is what it is. Like, all that's a fallacy. Like, if you think you're going to change the world through a vote, you can, but not at the presidential level. You can do more at the local, state level than you can, you got a better chance at the state level of your voice being heard, going to like city town hall meetings, doing like that, than to advocate and rally for something in your state, rather than the presidential vote, because that's just a popular vote. You should know about the electoral voting college if you call yourself knowing anything about politics. But sisters are defecting from the Democratic Party, calling the Democratic Party out for abandoning our people, leaving our people out to rot, not having policies set up in place for our people, but especially for, waging war on the black man, the original man. Because like what did Hillary say when she was running for the presidency? She called us super predators. So it's little stunts like that, though. The proverbial straw has broke the camel's back. And a whole lot of sisters nationwide, all over the United States, is waking up smelling the coffee. The Republican Party ain't got nothing for us either. Independent Party, none of those parties got nothing in it for us either, but, they're waking up smelling the coffee, seeing firsthand that the Democratic Party is hell-bent on destroying our people. Now, fun fact, our people, we invented the Republican Party. We designed the Republican Party to ensure voting rights for us. It's true. Look it up. Do your Googles. I don't got time to walk you through like the exact year and all that. But, essentially we made the Republican Party. But like I said, I'm not for any of those parties or this system. I don't subscribe to any of that, but it's a refreshing change of pace to see our sisters like waking up, because these politicians, they use our sisters as their personal crash dummies. And I said crash dummies because now the new hip hop term is crash out. So these politicians are using our sisters for crash dummies for their agendas. And our sisters ain't going for it no more. And out of all the things they're not going for anymore, they're especially not going for, participating in anything where they're going to clash with the original man. So they're not having that no more. So basically they're saying if you want our vote, it got to be something in it for them too. Them meaning original men. And they want to, they got our back. They want to stand right at our side. Because they're trying to use this, political, whatever it is, to divide us. Because, when it first started, we seen all these, I think a cabinet of sisters, I forget the name of them, said we're going to make sure that Kamala gets in, and stuff like that. And not one brother, Democrat or Republican, really been coming to bat for Kamala other than paid puppets within our community. People paid to defend her and to advocate for her. They shall remain nameless, but we know the puppets. We know who the puppets are. It's been pretty much a puppet show. So congratulations, puppets. Take a bow. You got your little bag. In November, it's going to be the big paycheck for you. She's not going to win, but, it is what it is. Like, y'all know that anyway. And if she does, it'll quickly be usurped. But yeah, that was just really my speaking point. There's been a large mass renouncement of the Democratic Party by black women. All right, and now on to my last section of the Narrative Podcast. This section is called Wise Word of the Day. Now, it's undergone many transitions. When I first started doing it, it was Final Thought of the Day, and then it was Final Word of the Day. But I think I've settled on Wise Word of the Day. So this section is basically a philosophical gem, a pearl of wisdom, a jewel, whatever you want to call it. And today's wise word of the day is please. Now we are familiar with that word when we can first learn to articulate full sentences. Adults would teach us this word, please. That means polite, the polite way of asking for something. May I please have something? May I please? And then later, that word takes on a new meaning. It takes on an emotional meaning. It means to satisfy. Are you pleased with this? Are you pleased with me? Do as you please. So there's many variations and iterations of the word please. But the one thing you need to be aware of when it comes to that word is you can't please everybody. You can't please everybody. And so a lot of us, we like to be very protective of other people's feelings. We like to try to accommodate people to our best possible ability. We don't want people be, feeling ostracized or left out or, singled out, like somebody's picking on them or something. But at the end of the day, you can't please everybody, because no matter, despite all your efforts to make sure someone else is comfortable, somebody out there is going to have a problem with you for no reason, just because they don't, like you for whatever. And it's usually something beyond your control. It might be for your physical appearance, like his big old nose, his big old head. Your weight, oh fat ass. Just something. And so like there's just people out there you can't be nice to. You can't appease. You try to go out of your way to make sure they good. It's like you can't please everybody, so you might as well focus on pleasing yourself. Now, I'm not saying treat people kind, treat people with respect. Don't go out of your way to be mean to somebody that you don't even know, that you don't know anything about, but at the same time, just know you can't please everybody. You can't be everybody's cup of tea. There's going to be that one person to find fault in everything you do, find fault in everything you say. It's just like, that's just the world. So don't waste time trying to please everybody. The only person you need to please is yourself. No diddy. Do things that's pleasing to yourself. You know what your journey consists of. You know what the steps you need to take to get to where you know you need to be. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to do for you, taking care of you, being good to you, that's really kind of all that matters. And anybody that wants to come into your circumference, anybody that gravitates towards you for being you, that's the people that's supposed to be there. The people you gotta go out of your way, you gotta, oh, well, why so-and-so don't like me? Did I do something to offend old so-and-so? That you gotta constantly keep on pulling off to the side and, oh, I'm very sorry if I offended you in any way, could you please forgive me? And like, they going out their way to be offended. You haven't done anything to them. They don't even know why they don't like you. A good large part of it is because they don't really like themselves, but you know, point being is you can't please everybody. Don't waste your time being the people pleaser. Because there's just people out there that's gonna pick you apart for whatever reason. You haven't done anything to them, ain't said nothing to them, but they always got something to say about you. They're always trying to recruit other people to not like you the way they don't like you, and they usually succeed because, as the old saying goes, misery loves company. But, you know, that's my wise word of the day is please. So please join me next weekend for another full episode of the Narrative Podcast, and please download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast wherever you get your podcast source from. And also join me. Just tune in on a regular basis during the weekday so you don't miss weekday episodes of the Narrative Podcast when they premiere. Well, that's it and that's all. See you next time. I'm Halsey Allen. I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time. I'm asking you to help me change the narrative by becoming a narrator. And while I'm changing the narrative on my end, one episode at a time, as a narrator, you can help me change the narrative on your end, one social media post at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen, the Narrative Podcast, signing off. And it's like that.
Listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.